fruits, nuts, and seeds.
Chapati, thank you for teaching us to be healthy.
The energy that I feel with these meals.
Chapati, that was really yummy.
Like a kid with new toys. Health is my greatest joy. Come and see, come and be with our host Chapati.
Welcome to Food with Life. I am your host Chapati, and we're here at the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles, California. And we have a very unique guest here today. He is a very qualified, award-winning graphic designer. He is a very skilled psychic, and he's combined these processes as well as being a wonderful human being. I'm honored to have Joseph Martin.
Oh, thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You know, you have so many qualifications I'm reading about in your writings, and what's caught me about you when I met you was your skill in being a psychic. You know, so I don't know much about psychism, but more my own psyche. But as far as psychic predictions and astrology and how it can help people with the future and with their lives. So tell me a bit about your experience as a psychic and what it does for people and how it can actually open up things for them to be happier.
Well, with psychic stuff, you always want to kind of get a glimpse of the future so that you can make fantastic decisions about what you want to do with your life. And you know, simply, I like to think of it like, if there's a hole in the road, I'd like to know in advance, so when I get there, I can walk around it. And the best psychic readings empower the seeker to make great decisions about their lives, to create a great and wonderful future for themselves. That's, I believe, the highest goal for any psychic worker to achieve.
So it's, as you say, to avoid the roadblocks.
Yes.
So we go around them to keep our progression fast
Yes.
and easy. So what do you do in being a psychic that actually helps the person? What's the method that you use to guide someone?
Absolutely. Well, you know, according to modern science with all this, you know, thoughts are thing, consciousness affects reality. So I want the seeker to be engaged in the process, because their energy and their intent is going to drive that in a direction that's going to be helpful for them. And then I work with my primary guide, Michael, who's just wonderful, has a sense of humor. And my guide, Michael, talks to me and says things that I'm supposed to relay to the client. And I'll tell you the honest truth. Sometimes they'll tell me to say stuff, and I don't even know what it means.
Right.
All I know is I'm supposed to say it. And my hope is that it has value for the person getting that information.
Now, who is the guide, Michael? Is this an actual physical being, or is it a spiritual entity from another level of experience? A higher plane of existence? Or explain a little bit about, is it Michael or Brother Michael? What is the name of this individual?
Well, I was taking my master psychic classes, and my master teacher said to me, we're going to help you identify who your guide or guides are. So I was doing the work to figure out who that was, and I asked who I thought was my guide. Who is my guide? I said, what's your name? And he said, oh, you can't pronounce it, call me Michael. I said, okay. I said, can you show me what you look like? He said, you can't comprehend what I look like. Envision me this way, and gave me a picture to hold on to. And I told my teacher this is what I got, and she said, well, use the name, use the image, because we can't even imagine many times what it's like energetically on the other side. We have all these metaphors for what it is, but until we're there, we're really not going to know.
Right. Yeah, when you say this image, I mean, I have to say, many times people are led by a TV guide rather than their own inner guide.
Yes.
You know, And this guide Michael, it sounds like it is a being from a higher level that directs you perhaps with intuition, or leads you to your intuition, or leads you to your higher self. Get into this more so I can understand.
Well, you know, my guide Michael has a great sense of humor, which he absolutely needs to deal with me. Guides, you know, they have their own idea for what's good for us and what we should be doing. And that may be contradictory to what we want to do or where we want to go. And I'll give you an example of this because it's absolutely true this happened. I said to my guide Michael, okay, fine, you help me help other people. I want to buy a pair of cowboy boots, but I don't want to spend a lot of money. Help me find a pair of cowboy boots. So didn't hear anything from Michael for about 2 weeks. I'm driving down the freeway. He says, turn here. I turn off the freeway. There is this huge flea market. I go, you know, they don't have any boot vendors here. I'm not going. He says, go. So I go in. There's no boot vendors. I'm just walking through the flea market. There's a guy selling stuff, his stuff. 2 pairs of cowboy boots. I said, can I try them on? He said, sure. I tried them on. They fit. I said, how much do you want for them? He goes, I'll give you them both for $35. And I just started laughing because my guide Michael directed me to this. Now, I had no idea why this would be important, and it sounds silly, but I met the creative director for my TV show, Western Line Dancing. Those boots played a role in my future that I couldn't even comprehend at the moment it happened.
I want to hear more about this. Okay, so stay tuned a second, all right? I'm your host, Chapati, with our wonderful guest, Joseph Martin. Stay with us, we'll find a bit more about where the intuition and where this guide could take us. I'm your host, Chapati, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Food with Life. I am your host, Chapati. We're here at the Conscious Life Expo with our very special guest, a wonderful psychic, among other talents, Joseph Martin. You were talking a bit about this, where you fell into the situation where you bought these boots and you met this producer of a show that you're working on, yes?
Yes, well, you know, in the psychic world, the belief is everything is connected, and I so believe that. We don't always get to know, but that's because I don't think our guides want to spoil the end of the book. They want to be a little excitement for us as we're going down the path. Now, of course, you know, I use the tarot to kind of glean into the future, see what's going to be happening, get the information that's going to be helping for me. Because I have an artistic nature, using pictures is a way for me to connect. Though everyone does it just a little bit differently.
Yes, I've heard about these, and Joseph has designed a wonderful deck of tarot cards, yes?
Yes.
How many cards are in here?
This is an 80-card deck. It's very different than traditional tarot, which is 78.
Oh,
Started
I see.
out as 56 and originally 52. But this one, instead of going like King, Queen, Knight, Page, it starts with the family and the feminine because we're going into the feminine age, the Aquarian age. So it goes mother, father, daughter, son, instead of King, Queen, Knight, Page.
I see. So what you do, how can these cards, it seems odd in a way, but it's a very physical thing.
Yes.
Cards, and how can this actually unleash opportunities?
Well, we know from science that consciousness affects reality at a subatomic level. And there's high school experiments even you can do to prove that. So you could take a system that appears random, like cards, use the subconscious in controlling those to give yourself the message of the energy that's around you. And the idea is, with this, is to have something that matters to you. Like if you have a question like, what should I have for lunch tomorrow? That's a terrible question. But if you have a question, my mother passed away recently, does she have a message for me? Then these kind of systems can help access that energy that's out there in the real world.
Okay, I have 2 questions here. One is, I want you to show me how we deal these tarot cards. All right, and then I have a second question, which I'll bring up in a second. So, how do we begin a process of a reading?
Well, let's get a question from you. We'll read for it.
All right.
Okay, mix them up any way you want. Cut them, shuffle them, smush them, spin them around, whatever.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because it's about your energy, it's about your intent, It's about you.
So is it perhaps that it maybe because I'm being directed by a higher force? Is this something?
Some would say you're being directed by your own subconscious.
Okay.
Others, a higher force or intelligence. Some
Right.
would say God or Buddha or Jesus, who knows?
Yes.
But we know that if it is any of those things, it still works the same way.
All right. So do you have would you put them on the table?
Well, hand it back to me,
All right.
and then go ahead and give me your question out loud.
All right. When will my wife and I be divinely independent of physical things and be not so reliant on the world of dollars and cents?
Yes. Well, we're in a physical world, right? So we're in, I'll give you a chicken for a gallon of milk world, you know, barter, money, commerce, all
yes,
that.
yes.
We're in the information age, so information has value. So we're still in a physical body. With a physical body in the physical world, we actually have to do physical stuff to survive it and do commerce. What this says is you do have fortune in your future. So that's money and wealth and prosperity. Also luck. To get to that,
Did you say luck?
luck also.
But that's a question, you know, luck, it seems like it's not, you're able to, it just happens. You're not able to know what's going to happen. It's sprung on you, you know?
The more synchronous you are with the universe, the more good luck you have.
Ah,
So I feel that they're very connected.
okay.
It's not a disconnected concept. For you to get to that wealth, it's going to require courage. It's going to require partnering with people who are very different
Right.
than who you actually are.
It's funny you're saying is I'm doing this right now. I'm in the beginning a whole thing on this, but it's beautiful, yes.
Absolutely beautiful. It's really going to be you defining you and what it is you want to create in a really concise way, very clear way. It's leaving emotions out of it and creating reality because of your intent and passion. I mean, your emotions will always be part of it, of course,
Yes,
but it's not the driving force.
right, right. So we're going to take a break and then I want you to go more into these particulars of this reading. It's good?
It's good.
All right. I am Yosh Chapati with our special guest Joseph Martin. We'll be right back. Stay with us, please. Welcome back to Food with Life. I am your host Chapati. We're at the Conscious Life Expo with our very special guest, wonderful psychic and graphic artist and beautiful creator, Joseph Martin. You were just beginning to touch on this psychic or tarot card reading.
Yes.
Tell me something you were saying about I know I caught my eye at the wealth and all this. Tell me more about it.
Well, of course, you mixed up the cards.
Yes.
So in a sense, you're giving yourself the message that you need at this time. So you already know that you're headed a good direction. So that's already there. You just shared that you know that you're partnering with people who are very different than you to go forward. And now you're being reaffirmed that that is actually happening and that this isn't a time to make emotional decisions. It's a time to make pragmatic decisions, business decisions, decisions based on intellect, not what you feel. You're going to feel as though in this process that it gets emotionally hard because of the kinds of people you're going to be dealing with. But your challenge is to deal with them effectively to reach the goal.
Because they're very different.
They're very different.
Yes, yes. That's what I'm wondering. They're from another side of the world, you know. But I feel it's whatever I can do to stretch my experience can better me, you know. Even though at times it may not feel comfortable. So now what are you doing here with the tarot reading? Tell me.
Well, when I'm listening to someone who is explaining a little bit about what's happening for them, I do two things. I verify to see what they're saying is true or not, and then what I'm supposed to say.
Yes.
Because some people will say, I want to ask about my husband and our relationship, but what they really want to know is, should I get a divorce? It's a very different question. So these people on the other side of the world, this is all about you handling that situation intelligently and intellectually. And it's, I think it's going to be okay, but really you're the one who's setting the tone, the decision, the direction. It's
Right.
you that's
Right.
making this happen. As long as you realize you're the one still in charge, really, it's going to work out for you. Now, some of these people aren't going to be at the same level of ethics that you are. So you're going to have to do a little due diligence.
Yes.
Make sure that they're being honest and to have a little double check system in place. Make sure it's on the right track.
Right. Yes, because they're from another culture. But
Yes.
I frequently go into situations where I trust people, and I have in the past gotten taken, so to
Yes.
speak, and they took advantage of myself, you know. And then I had to go through processes to get back monies, etc. And it's unpleasant, you know, because I always want to help people, and I come to see them and accept them with my heart, you know.
Yes.
So sometimes I'm doing my best, you know.
Yes.
So I think, tell me about this aspect and the aspect of the heart and how the heart works and is involved with tarot cards. Or is it more of it's an intellectual thing, you know, and it's academic, you know, this is what you get, this is what you get, you put this out, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
How does the heart be involved in this?
Well, you know, if it was just reading definitions, a computer could give you a reading, right? The computer would shuffle the deck, look up the meaning, and then give you that as a narrative.
Right.
But that isn't actually how it really works. It's much more complex than that. From an 80-card deck into a 10-card spread, cards can be face-up or reversed in specific order. You can get 5.9 million different readings from that deck. So there's a lot of story in a very short system.
Yes.
And so what you do is you do open up. Now for me, I use my cards as a point of focus, but my guides, they talk in my head, they give me body sensations. Sometimes I get to hear things in my ear, and I use all of that together to decode the message they're showing me. Normally they tell me in my head first, and then I verify it in the cards. Make sure I'm on the right track with them.
How do you know when you hear these messages, whether it's your own personal psychology or something coming forth, or if it's this Michael, you know, this higher being? How do you decide? How do you know?
At first, when I was first learning how to open up psychically, it was very hard to know because my voice sounded like Michael's voice and it was very confusing. However, over time, I was able to listen to that difference between my head voice and Michael's voice. Now, for most people, the easiest way to know a guide message from a self message is if there's an element of surprise. If there's an element of surprise, it's not you, it's your guides talking to you.
We're going to take a break, and then I want to go more into this surprise element. Is good?
It's good.
Okay. I am your host, Chapati, with our special guest, Joseph Martin. Stay with us. This is Food with Life. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Food with Life. I am your host, Chapati, with our special guest, Joseph Martin. Wonderful, wonderful psychic. So I have a question for you. You know, we talked a bit about surprise. You know, surprise leaves open, as they say, and it's read in the books, Pandora's box. You know, what could come up? You know, it could be, can it be detrimental, or can it be always helpful? I guess it depends on how you perceive. Tell me something about this.
Well, you know, I don't believe the universe sees detrimental, ever. I think from the universal perspective, everything is always good.
Yes.
You know, and it's weird because, like, as humans, if I break my arm, it doesn't feel too good. However, in the scheme of things, it balances out karmically perfectly. And so I think that, like the master teachers have been saying for thousands of years, if you break your arm, you get an agreement, you get in forgiveness, and you go forward. Because that's really what the universe wants, is for us to go forward in a beautiful, passionate, amazing way, regardless of the lessons we're going to learn in that lifetime.
Yeah, because I know I've sometimes been in living in, I have run into things which I thought were detrimental. You know, they did hurt me or in some way pushed me back. but perhaps they were not. You know, could have been I had to step right to go left,
Yes.
or I had to go up to go down. So in a way, all the things that I had seen, or perhaps people, our viewers, if something comes their way which does not seem like it's ideal, it is the fastest way to get to the goal, maybe. You know, something. Would you say something like this?
Yes. Really good psychics see the beauty in what's happening and where it's going. Psychics who are still learning how to be good psychics, they see the drama and the scariness. But you know, the drama scariness is very low energy. It's very below. When you're able to see from that higher perspective or get a glimpse from that higher perspective, it gives you the hope and joy for the future, regardless of the challenge. And that's why I love doing divination. That's why I created this tarot deck and other things, because to me, it helps make the world just a little bit brighter, a little bit more filled with joy, without quite so much drama, maybe.
Yes. So you have obviously not a strong belief system. It's more like it is part of you, the tarot cards and your everyday, what you're doing.
Yes.
Yes.
And being psychically open isn't always pleasant every moment of every day. So I actually use this kind of method as a way to become open when I need to be, then put it away so that I can survive the rest of the life.
So suppose you draw the cards out and something you see is there and is coming up that is not positive.
Yes.
You know?
And that
how
happens.
How do you handle that?
Well, it's my duty to be honest with whoever comes to ask me questions. So I had a woman, I was in another city, a woman said, tell me about my health. Well, I've been asked about health 1,000 million times. And so I lay out the cards. It said she was going to die in 6 months. How do I say that? What do I say?
Yeah.
So it's not my job to scare her or hurt her. My job is to help her.
Yes.
So I said, have you been to see a doctor recently? She said, yes. I said, good. Whatever it is, it's more serious than you realize. She says, I know. I said, okay. What I'm getting is a timeline of this year of you crossing. Would you like to know when? She said, yes. I said, about 6 months. And she said, oh, thank God, because the doctor only gave me 3. Our job is to help people prepare for their best life possible.
Guidance.
With truth,
Yes.
but not scaring them. It's not our job to scare them.
What about if someone says, oh, I can't accept that?
Oh, some do.
Yes.
Yes. One person came to me and said, my husband is absolutely awful. What can I do to make him change? And I said, nothing. Nothing you can do will make him change. He's a sentient being. He'll only change on his own. And everything here says there's nothing you can do. So your choice now is to accept him or leave him. That's the only choice. She goes, okay, what'll happen if I accept him? This. What'll happen if I leave him? Well, this other thing. I said, what do you want to do? I am not going to tell you what to do. This is your life.
Yes.
But I will help you the best I can.
Wow, so it gives, it's, as people say, it leaves people with a full deck.
Yes.
You know?
To empower them to
Yes.
make fantastic life decisions and how to
Yes.
go forward. That's what my job is.
Right. Okay, one quick question. How would you say this plays into the whole idea, in a short way, about astrology?
Yes. Well, in my deck, there's actually astrology features. So if you know astrology, you can read astrology within this card system.
Okay.
Astrology tends to show predestination because of the Newtonian view of how the universe works with the planets moving. However, there is so much variation in that, as we know, that the astrology is not quite as Newtonian as some might believe it is, which is totally rote.
Yes, yes.
We are sentient beings that can make decisions about our lives, but astrology can show us if the wind is blowing, where to put our sail.
To help us in that guide for the future. Yes.
Yes. And I say for the tarot, if it's going to be raining money, I want to know where to bring a bucket.
Right, right.
And hopefully that can help.
When do we wear the boots? So I'm wondering, with our audience, to leave them, what words of wisdom could you share?
I would say we are in a time of incredible change. If you're alive right now on the planet, it means you are a spiritual warrior, helping make the planet better. The old paradigm is dying and leaving us, and the new paradigm of wholeness and integration is now here. The feminine age is dawning. We're at the dawning of the age of Aquarius, and this is the time of enlightenment and hope. But we've got to do something. You can't sit back and ride the wave. You've got to get your paddle out and move your boat.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so very, very much for that and for all your knowledge you've shared with us.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you. I am your host, Chapati, with our very special guest, Joseph Martin. I hope you enjoy the show. Enjoy, be happy, and be thankful, and full of gratitude. Thank you. Bye-bye.